Welcome back, everyone. So today I went to a place called Parish. They're based in Brixton on Coldharbour Lane, and they're a contemporary Jamaican takeaway place. I'm excited by this food, actually. It looked delicious. They had quite a big variety on the menu. Let's see what's in the bag. It still feels very warm. So I had to go for one of their patties. They did have quite a good selection of patties, actually. They had oxtail, jerk chicken, beef, cheesy beef, lobster. They had a lot to choose from. It was hard to narrow it down, really. I went for an oxtail patty, by the way. Let's go. Okay. It looks a bit flat, if I'm honest. Look at that. It's quite thin. Maybe I should have got a cocoa bread to go with that, and I could have put that inside the cocoa bread. But never mind. I won't judge it till I've tried it. I'm just going to go in for a bite. Mm. Mm. Let me go in again. There's a lot of flavour in this patty. It's delicious. However, there's not much oxtail in there. I'm not really getting much of that oxtail. Maybe they cooked the oxtail so it was lovely and soft, and they've spread it inside that patty as though it was a spread. It does look flat, and it is very flat. There aren't big chunky oxtail pieces in there, but there's flavour. There's a lot of flavour. Let me go in one more time. Mm. So this patty, like I said, is bursting with flavour, but it's not bursting with oxtail. I'm getting no oxtail in that. I know that the price of oxtail these days is extortionate, right? But I did pay extra for the oxtail patty and not just the minced beef one. But I'm not getting any meat in that at all. I'm getting the flavour, like maybe the oxtail gravy with some little pieces of strands of meat. But no, it's not very meaty. I paid £4.50 for that patty, by the way. It is quite disappointing, really, when you're expecting an oxtail patty and you get an oxtail mush with a bit of gravy. So yeah, not good. But the flavour's there. I keep saying that. The flavour's there. The pimento, the chilli, the spices, it's there. There's just no meat within. For that reason, you're going to get a 7. I'll give you a 7 just for the flavour. The flavour is on point. But because there's no meat inside, I can't give you any higher than that. And a 7 is generous. They also had this thing called a loaded patty on the menu, which was essentially a cocoa bread, patty, mac and cheese, jerk chicken, oxtail, jerk sauce, all in a patty and a cocoa bread. My stomach could not take that at this time of the day, though. But that did sound interesting, and I think I will go back and give it a try one day. 7 for your oxtail patty, 14 Parish. So next up, I went for the ackee and saltfish meal with hard food. So it could come with either hard food, plain white rice, or rice and peas. They've wrapped it beautifully in cling film. Let me get into the cling film and give this a go. It is still beautifully hot. They didn't pack any disposable cutlery. It's okay because I bought my own with a napkin, which they also didn't pack. Let's open it up. You can smell the cabbage. Can't really smell much saltfish. There's definitely a lot of ackee in there. So that is quite impressive because ackee is quite expensive in London at the moment. Let me show you. So look. Let's go. So go in for a bit of that ackee and saltfish. So I am just tasting ackee. I'm not getting any saltfish whatsoever. But let me go in again. Maybe it's underneath or somewhere. I think they've shredded the saltfish so small that you can barely taste it. Hold on. If you look, you can see there are tiny little shreds of saltfish there. But a lot of ackee. But I'm not complaining because I do love ackee. Some green banana there. For around £14, I will put the exact price on the thumbnail, but the portion isn't very generous either. So if you can see, they've put all the hard food underneath and they've just spooned a little bit of ackee and saltfish on top. So it looks like you're getting, I don't know, half and half, but you're not. It is quite a stingy portion, and it was a bit pricey as well. Nah. So you get banana, you get yam, and a flat dumpling. Let me try the dumpling. I'm hoping that it's going to give me that snap. Okay. Yeah, the dumpling's okay. And there's the yam. Hold on. Oh. And there's some of that yam. No, it's not the one. I've definitely had a better ackee and saltfish meal. This is lacking flavour. I'm barely tasting the saltfish, so it all feels very bland because of that. The ackee isn't very well seasoned. There's no spice. It just looks very pretty and colourful, but lacking flavour. You're going to get a 6 14 Parish for your ackee and saltfish meal. A 6. Quite disappointed, really. I was looking forward to this. It's all very under-seasoned and very wishy-washy tasting. I also bought a drink from 14 Parish. They do fresh juices, so I had to get one. So this here is the Seamos and Spirulina. Now, looking at the consistency of that, there doesn't appear to be much of that Seamos gel in there. Hubby makes a really lovely Seamos, actually, and it's more of a gel and it's quite thick. This looks quite runny where it's been diluted. And the colour of it is because the spirulina is like an algae. It comes from the sea. Anyway, let me give this a taste. I'm excited. Okay, I can smell ginger. I guess the ginger will take out that saltiness from the Seamos. It is quite a pleasant drink. It's pleasant because of the ginger, actually. I feel like they've added some sweetness in there as well. So although it makes it taste nicer, I am still a bit disappointed because I bought this drink for the health benefits. Seamos has its own health benefits, and so does the spirulina. Apparently it's good for anti-inflammatory, good for your blood pressure, and it's a good way to detox. But when you add sugar to that, it really cancels the goodness out. Yeah, they've definitely added a little bit of sugar to that. No, that is not the real deal. It sounds good on the menu, but it's not the real deal. Don't be fooled. If you want a proper Seamos drink, you're going to have to make it yourself, source the ingredients and make it yourself. I've seen Seamos in M&S, for example, and it's not the real deal. The fact that Seamos is spelt wrong as well, I don't see any moss in there. But hey, I'm not here to criticise somebody's spelling. Like I said, the drink is pleasant to taste, but it isn't the real deal. For that reason, it gets a 5. Oh. Anyway, I will finish my drink and I will finish my meal. But do you know what? I would still love to go back to 14 Parish and try their loaded patty. So this is not the end. However, it's the end of the video. Thank you for watching. Like, comment and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.